So in the mid-90s in Miami, a few people figured, hey, we'll kidnap, torture, and murder people. And now Michael Bay figures he'll make a movie that's a comedy that makes light of that situation and makes you, the viewer, root for the assholes who did all that shit. Weird doesn't quite cover that. Pain and Gain. So Pain and Gain stars Mark Wahlberg, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in his like 5th movie this year, and that one other dude. That dude, I don't know his name. Maybe that makes me a dick, but I don't know his name. They're weightlifters, they're bodybuilders, and they're like, we're tired of being poor. So they're like, Tony Shalhoub's an asshole. We'll kidnap him, we'll torture him, we'll have him sign over all his assets to us. Life is good. Now this is one of those movies, this is a difficult movie to talk about because this situation did happen, but these guys were dicks. They were assholes. All accounts says that they were very violent people who killed people. So I'll touch on those points later on in this video, but for right now, let's review the movie as a movie. As a movie, it's a pretty sloppy movie. You like The Rock, he was really good in the movie. I would argue he's one of the best parts of the movie. Hands down, best person, best role, best character in this entire movie, Ed Harris. He's one of those private investigator types. He's like, all right, yeah, I'll find out what happened to you, Tony Shalhoub, because you look like you've been through shit, and they obviously did something to you. However, this movie's edited really weird. You're like, is it funny? Is it supposed to be a comedy? It's obviously been marketed as a comedy in the trailer, so you know you're supposed to be watching a dark comedy, but the fact is Michael Bay just doesn't know how to do comedy. He proved that with the Transformers movies. Now Michael Bay's like, no, I can do comedy. I proved that with Transformers. The people who said I can't do comedy, they don't know what they're talking about. Let me prove it to you by making a comedy about a real-life murder story. A murder that happened not too long ago, so the families of the victims are still alive. Good, you know, it's not a real murder comedy unless you've enraged the living family of the victim. But it was edited really choppy. Everyone has voiceover in this movie. Mark Wahlberg has his voiceover in which he tells his first-person perspective of what's going on. So does everybody else. So you're like, the movie's about everybody, in which is about nobody, really. A movie has to be focused. This movie, if I can describe it in one word, it's unfocused. Just everywhere. It's all over the place. You're here, then you're there. And the color scheme's all messed up. Yeah, making your movie look like this doesn't make it better. It's now a really choppy movie with blown-out color and contrast. I was actually looking forward to Pain and Gain. I thought it would be the return of Michael Bay that I liked at one point. I remember liking Bad Boys 2 when I saw it eons ago, but watching movies now that are made by Michael Bay make me question whether or not Bad Boys 2 is even good. What I do know is this: Michael Bay now wasn't the Michael Bay we always had. There was a director, his name was Michael Bay, he made the movie The Rock. And then aliens sucked up that Michael Bay and replaced him with a changeling who has done everything else. That's the only way I can describe it. That's what happened. That's why Michael Bay always makes movies about aliens. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Mark Wahlberg seem to have fun with their roles, and that ain't bad in a movie, but that brings us to our next point. This movie is based on a real-life case about kidnapping, torture, murder, all that shit. The protagonist in this movie, in real life, kidnapped a guy, tortured him for a month until he signed over all his assets to them. In the course of this entire adventure in the movie, they killed a couple people. They are murderers. They actually did this shit. Then the movie cops out because they're like, well, you can't actually root for murderers in the movie, so we make it accidental death. I mean, I almost feel like I'm giving you spoilers in this movie, but it's just, they're bad guys. They're bad guys made to look like good guys. When you look at the movie Payback with Mel Gibson, he was a bad guy. The catchphrase for the movie is get ready to root for the bad guy, but he was still like, he was a bad guy who was dicked over by worse bad guys, so he's the bad guy you want to root for because he's kind of a cool bad guy. I guess the parallel situation would be like making a biographical picture about O.J. Simpson directed by Michael Bay called Bitches Be Crazy. The catchphrase could be bitches be crazy and crazy gotta go, or the biggest slash stick comedy of the year. It's just, you would see that and be like, I don't know if that's the best way to go about this. And it's not. Making a situation like this a comedy isn't good. If they made it like the movie Blow, that would be interesting. It's like, oh yeah, this really happened and now it's presented as a drama. And if it was done well, I'd be interested. I'd be like, oh, okay, wow, that's interesting that that shit happened. Sucks that it happened, but we're entertained by it. And it does the situation justice. Yeah, they said Texas Chainsaw Massacre is based on a true story, but if you look at the real story, it's not actually based on a true story. The story that it's based off of is so far separated, and it's not really like that. And even then, Leatherface was still the bad guy. Turning a real life situation like this into a comedy in which the bad guys are actually the good guys you're supposed to root for? No, that's just gonna make you look like an asshole. If you're gonna make a movie like this a comedy, a movie that's about murder, that's based on real murders that happen in which the families of the victims are still alive and remember the situation, make it funny. The movie's not funny. Michael Bay really rolled the dice on this. I'll give him credit for the balls. He's like, I'm gonna make this movie a comedy. All right, man, I hope you succeed. Well, you didn't. Upon all that shit, as a movie, the movie is entertaining to a point. It is a bit too long in that Michael Bay way. Every Michael Bay movie, you're like, could have been a half an hour shorter. I can't dog shit this one up on principle. I do want to, but I can't. Because as a movie, it's not actually dog shit, but I will say you're not going to remember this movie in T-1 day. Yep, already forgot. All right, so Pain and Gain, have you seen it? Do you think it was a good call to make this movie a comedy? Do you think it should have been done as a drama? I think we can all agree it would have been better done in other hands. Whatever you think, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.